Hey guys, welcome back in. In this video, we're answering a really simple question. Which Beethoven pieces for the piano are the most listened to? But I thought it'd be fun, before I did the research to figure out which ones are the most listened to, if I tried to make my own list of what I think the top 10 are going to be in order beforehand. So if you want to do the same thing as I tell you what I thought they were, go ahead and try to take a stab at it and see how close you can be in the comments down below. So my guess, which by the way, I wrote down on a Hal Leonard piece of paper to show I'm a musician, I guess. Number 1, Moonlight Sonata. 2, For Elise. 3, Pathetique. 4, Waldstein. 5, Appassionata. I felt really bad about those two. Waldstein and Appassionata, I could see flip-flopping. And then number 6, Concerto number 5. Then Concerto number 3, Hammer Clavier, Tempest Sonata. And number 10, Concerto number 4. Now, one thing you might notice is that I didn't include symphonies here because we're talking about the most popular piano works. So obviously the 5th Symphony and the 9th Symphony be more popular than many things on this list. All right, that's enough talking. Hopefully you've had a little time to maybe generate a list of your own of what you expect to see. And we're going to jump right into number 10. So with an average of only 1,140,000 views, our number 10 spot goes to the 4th Concerto. This is a little bit unfortunate because the 4th Concerto is such a unique piece, especially if you've already heard, like, you know, the 5th Symphony, the 9th Symphony, the 3rd Concerto, the 5th Concerto. The 4th one's a lot calmer, a lot more peaceful in lots of ways than those other ones. Of course, it has its moments, but it's such a unique one. It really stands out. Of the 5 piano concertos, it's probably the most, I hate to say the most unique one because they're all really unique. There's only 5 of them, but it's such a special piece. And it's unfortunate that's number 10. I did get it right though. I did guess this was number 10. So yay, point for me. And in case you're curious, the first one off the list was the 1st Sonata. I almost put the 1st Sonata here as well. So the first one, our number 11, would have been the 1st Beethoven Sonata, which is also a really good piece. So barely beating out the 4th Concerto for a 9th spot, we have the 3rd Concerto, which I'm going to say I'm actually more shocked about this one. This only has 1,320,000 views for the average of the top 5. This is a really good piece. Probably the 3rd Concerto is, well, it is. It's the one I'd recommend everyone listen to first. If you've never heard a Beethoven Concerto, this one is such an audience pleaser. It's so cool. It's huge. It's epic. And a concerto, by the way, is a piece for piano and orchestra, in case I didn't say that already. But you have these like, I'm kind of going on memory right now. I've never played the piece before, but it also has these really cool patterns. Something like that. Go listen to it. It's really, really big and epic. I've never played it. So I'm just going to butcher if I try to play it right now. But there's a really good recording on YouTube of Zimmerman playing it, I think with the Berlin Orchestra or Philharmonic. So great piece. Like I said, if you've never heard a Beethoven Concerto, start there. That one will just blow your mind. It's so good. The entire piece is good. And it's unfortunate that, you know, that these views are really top heavy. If we get higher up in the list, the views are going to skyrocket. But here at the bottom, our number 9 spot, only 1.32 million views. So we need a little more love for the 3rd Concerto. Now you're probably wondering how to determine which pieces are the most popular, which one are viewed the most. I started out by going the Spotify route, like which ones are the most streamed. Unfortunately though, there's a lot of multiple entries of pieces and that just kind of seemed like a mess to get into. So what I went with, it actually worked out really, really well, is I searched for the videos on YouTube, sorted them by views, and then made sure it was obviously the correct piece for each one, and then just averaged out the top 5. This worked out so incredibly well. I couldn't imagine how well it's going to work out. There's often big gaps between videos, and once you get past the top 5, the trends almost always continue. So for example, the number 1 video, when you get past the 5th one, you're still seeing 40 million views, 30 million views on one video after another. However, the number 10 spot today, once you get past the 5th video, you're talking like hundreds of thousands is all you get in views at that point. So it's actually worked out really, really well. Coming in at number 8 is what many people consider to be the most difficult piece Beethoven ever wrote. In fact, a lot of people consider it to be one of the hardest pieces in piano literature, and that is Hammer Clavier. Hammer Clavier is this huge, epic sonata, the longest of all the sonatas, and it's hard for a lot of reasons. I can't say the one thing hard about it, but I'm going to give you 2 things in particular. First of all, it's just hard. There's just a lot of notes. Like, it's very difficult to pull off all the notes. There's so many challenges and all the movements. But the other big thing is there's a humongous second movement that's one of the most gut-wrenchingly beautiful things you've ever heard in your life. It's dark, it's really sad, it's really slow. You might even look at it and think, that's not hard to play at all, but you have to pull it off. You have to perform it for your audience in such a way that they're interested for like 15 minutes of this epic slow movement. So The piece is hard because you need all the skills, all the chops to play really difficult Beethoven, but you also need the musicianship to like draw your audience in to one of the saddest stories that Beethoven's ever told. Oh, and by the way, I also got Hammer Clavier right. I thought it was going to be number 8. It actually was number 8, so I was really happy about that. The next one, though, I missed quite a bit on, but I kind of get it. Like, I thought I was overestimating Waldstein a little bit. Like, I guess Waldstein was going to be number 4. I think I love it so much. I just imagine everyone in the world loves it as much as me. And a lot of people do. It's number 7, Waldstein Sonata. There also is a pretty significant jump here in views to the top 5 videos on Waldstein Sonata getting 3 million views, which I wish there was like 10 or 100, but at the same time, 3 million is a pretty big jump over like the lower ones, which are all kind of in the 1. So first movement, one of the best first movements Beethoven ever wrote. Just a very clean, like sonata in the classical style. Like we are classic. It's epic. It's big, but it feels like the height of the classical era. But the third movement is like pushing into the romantic era. The third movement does all this, not improvisational, but some things that sound improvisational sometimes, but also like extended techniques, like things like hold your pedal down the whole time. Do octave glissandos, like you have to do glissandos with one hand and an octave. So he's kind of like pushing the bounds of what piano music does. But yeah, things like where you just hold your pedal down for long passages and blur all the sounds together. Really cool things like... It's really hard to play piano without, I don't have any headphones in, so I can't hear anything. So hopefully all that sounds okay. All right, one spot above Waldstein is actually the one that I thought would be one away from Waldstein, but I had it flipped. The Appassionata is up next, and I put Waldstein right above Appassionata, but I think I even said, like, I'm really torn on these. I could totally see them flip-flop, and they actually are back-to-back, but Appassionata is a little more popular. I think it has a better name, like Passionate, this, like, angry, intense piece. It just has a cooler name than Waldstein. We're like, well, what's a Waldstein? It's just someone's name that was dedicated to. So, no, Appassionata is also a great piece. It's not one that I have studied a lot. It has this cool intro where... I mean, you know, a piece is actually might be down here. No. Again, I can't hear anything, so I'm guessing how this sounds. Really cool intro. Like some Beethoven sonatas start out like smack you in the face, and this just starts out with that boom, boom, boom. What's going on? You do it for a second, he immediately changes keys. Like, whoa, such a cool intro. But it's not just that; it's the whole piece. Like the third movement is like non-stop, like in your face. It just doesn't stop. High energy, crazy virtuosity. So both of them great pieces. So I guess the Appassionata at number 5, I guess, and turned out number 6. So not that far. Now coming in at number 5 is actually the piece that I underestimated the most. I said this was number 9, and I was wrong by 4 spots. And that's Tempest Sonata. Tempest Sonata is really popular. I knew it was really popular. I mean, I included it on my top 10, so I got that much right. But I didn't realize that Tempest was going to be more popular than Concerto 3, Concerto 4, and then also Hammer Clavier, Waldstein, and Appassionata. So I was kind of shocked by that. It's a really cool piece. It would be one that I would highly recommend. I mean, I personally recommend the other 3, Waldstein, Appassionata, Hammer Clavier before that. Hammer Clavier... I'd recommend Hammer Clavier if you love Beethoven already. I wouldn't say the first thing you should listen to is like a 45-minute sonata unless you already are up for that kind of thing. The other ones are probably a little more audience-pleasing, and so is Tempest. Tempest is a little shorter, even shorter than that, I think, and just a little easier to get into maybe than like something as massive as Hammer Clavier. And by the way, the average for Tempest Sonata is 5,400,000 views, so we're getting to a pretty significant territory now. But number 4... is actually a tie. They actually both came out to 5.4 million views, which is crazy. And our 4th piece, can you guess it? Can you guess it? What haven't I said yet? Our number 4 is the 5th Concerto. The 5th Concerto is like the height of Beethoven. Kind of think about what the 5th Symphony is. It's like the one. It's kind of what that is for piano concertos. Like it does so much. There's like piano intro at the beginning. There's huge impressive piano parts. There's like an entire, obviously epic. Beethoven's great at orchestration. He's obviously an amazing symphonic composer as well. There's so much good about it. The middle movement is gorgeous. It has some really cool textures. The third movement's really hard and flashy, but the first movement is like a 20-minute epic. And when you get to about to that 18th minute, like you don't want it to end. You're like this is all built and culminated to this point in the last minute's epic. And the same thing happens with the end of the piece. You're like 40 minutes in or so, and you're just like, oh no, I feel it's almost over and I don't want it to end because this piece is so good. If you already love Beethoven, but you never listened to the entire 5th Concerto, just do that. go listen to the whole fit. Like maybe just like lay down, turn the lights out, close your eyes, and just like rest and listen to like 40, 50 minutes of Beethoven. Just soak it all in. It's a great piece. So coming number 4, that again, 5.4 million views, just like Tempest had. Now, before I get to the top 3, I just want to mention real quick that I actually got the 10 pieces. Like the 10 pieces I thought were going to be on the list were on the list. Anyways, though, back to number 3. Number 3 is Pathetique Sonata. Pathetique Sonata is such a cool piece. Like I remember when I learned Pathetique, just thinking like, I'm the best piano player in the world. This piece is so hard. It's so impressive. It's so cool sounding. Everyone loves it. It has so many things going for it. It has like this really cool dark intro. Like, man, never play piano without headphones in where you can hear yourself. It has this really cool intro that goes something like this. And then it has this, once it gets to the main theme, it goes like. So yeah, just very good audience pleaser. Middle movement's really famous. It's the one that goes like. Now, if you clicked on this video knowing hardly anything about Beethoven, you still might be able to guess what number 2 and number 1 are. So coming in number 2, with almost 7 times the views as Pathetique Sonata, is Für Elise. Like you probably knew if Für Elise was going to be here, you just didn't know if it was number 1 or 2. With over 35 million views on average, this piece is so popular. It has been a staple for so long. People love Für Elise. I think 2 big reasons that's popular is number 1, it's actually a good piece. It's like a really good piece of music, and it's easy to forget that it's good. Like I'm pointing at myself here. I forget it's actually a good piece a lot because like you hear it so much. You hear it played so often. You hear it played poorly and even well so often. You just kind of get desensitized to it. Like if you're really into sports and someone's like, you like sports, did you know the Yankees are good at baseball, or do you know the Lakers are good at basketball? You're like, yes, we know that. Like it's just not that interesting because maybe you're really into sports, right? You're into music, you hear Für Elise all the time. You're just not that intrigued by it anymore, right? But the other big reason I think it's really popular is it's not near as difficult as any of the pieces we talked about today. Any of them. Like it's not even in the ballpark of any of the sonatas. I'm not saying it's not a hard piece. It's like it's definitely like solidly intermediate music. You cannot, I mean, you could try, but it's really hard to jump in like day one to Für Elise. It's challenging, but comparing it to the sonatas, it just pales in comparison. But I think that makes it really approachable. So many people can love Für Elise because you can get into Für Elise in a reasonable amount of time. Whereas if you like set out piano and your goal is to play Hammerklavier, that's awesome. But you're probably years and years away from that goal. It's just a really hard piece. It's hard for everyone. Whereas like Für Elise is a little more attainable. So I think, again, that's one of the reasons it's like actually a good piece, but it's a good piece that's accessible to a lot of people. Before I tell you number 1, just want to take a second real quick to ask before the end of the video, would you share it with someone or comment or blah, 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 blah. That'd be really great. It helps out, all that good stuff. Let's get to number 1. Our number 1 is going to come as a huge shock. No, it's not. It's Moonlight Sonata. I mean, it had to be Moonlight Sonata, right? I haven't mentioned Moonlight yet. I've already mentioned Für Elise. So yeah, at over 100 million views on average, 101 million views. We're talking like 100 times more popular than the 4th concerto, and like the 3rd concerto is Moonlight Sonata. And this piece is actually for some of the same reasons as Für Elise. It's really innovative. It's a really legitimate piece. It actually has a really cool 3rd movement as well. But a lot of people are searching for it and watching it for the 1st movement, which again, kind of like Für Elise, is a little more approachable than most of the other sonatas. But it's also just a really cool piece. Like if you only know Beethoven, like, or Mozart, I should say, like that kind of classical style, then you just like, if you put yourself in the mind of someone who lived 220 years ago, you go to a concert and Beethoven like rocks Moonlight Sonata, you're going to go, what? What's this? Like, we don't play piano with the pedal down and all these smushy sounds. Like, things are clean and pristine, and it would just have really been innovative for the time. So Moonlight Sonata, I would say obvious number 1. However, Moonlight Sonata and Für Elise, in my mind, we're going to be really close. It ended up not being really close. Moonlight Sonata had over 3 times the views as Für Elise. If you made through this video and all you've heard in your life is Für Elise and Moonlight Sonata, my top recommendation for sonatas to listen to next would be Pathetique or Waldstein. Those would be my top 2 I'd say look for next if you haven't really listened to a lot of Beethoven in your life. Then after that, maybe listen to the Third Concerto. Then if you just fall in love with those pieces and you just want more Beethoven, anything on this list is good. They're all good. The Fifth Concerto is amazing. Appassionata, Hammerklavier. The Fourth Concerto is different. I mean, they're all good. This is like the top 10 most popular pieces by Beethoven, who's one of the most popular composers and one of the best composers ever. So it's a really, really good list. This could be an amazing listening guide. Even 1 through 10 isn't even that bad of an order to listen to them. I would flip a few things around, but if you've never heard Moonlight, it's kind of a cool one to start with too. Thanks for checking it out. Share the video with a friend or two if you don't mind, and I'll see you guys in the next one.